Hello, I'm Michael Maher. New York City stands out like a beacon in the history of the mass movement of people. Inscribed on the base of the Statue of Liberty is that famous line of verse, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." This truly is the world's greatest melting pot. It's a city to which millions have been drawn to seek their freedom and their fortune, and among them have been thousands of Australians, eager to take a bite out of the Big Apple. I'm now on my way downtown to meet the writer Lily Brett and her husband, the painter David Rankin. They and their young family left Melbourne for New York 17 years ago. They now live the quintessential artist life amid the character-filled streets of Soho and Greenwich Village.
You can almost, walking around the streets here, still feel the presence of the artists who've lived here over the years.
Well, we saw this as our sort of lifestyle. You know, I couldn't live on the Upper East Side.
And this was closest to what we liked in Australia. If you lived in Carlton, as we did, this is the closest to Carlton in Manhattan. The same kind of street life, same kind of vibrancy. You know the people in the shops. And in this street, you know, up above, we know the people in the apartments. They, you know, call out and say hello. So I want to know about the work in the front room, whether those black drawings, what the paper was, and whether...
Home for Lily and David is an airy loft in Soho, which doubles as their studio.
And acrylic wash as well. So...
This city affects people, I think, like no other city that I've ever been in that it has a very active presence. You're very aware of where you live and you interact with the city. I mean, you can't snooze your way through New York. You know, it's hard to be oblivious. It's hard to be smug. It's hard to settle into easy certainties.
Lily is a daughter of the Holocaust. She was born in a displaced persons camp in Germany after the Second World War. Her parents migrated to Melbourne when she was 2.
There's a very beautiful line by the poet Pablo Neruda, and it says, "It's well known that he who returns has never left." I think in some way, although you may leave a place physically, you haven't really left. I think when you've lived somewhere for a long time, as I have, it's part of you. It's part of your skin, part of your arteries. Everything that meant anything to me is still part of me.
I think that I'd always been restless. I think that's part of the nature of the Australian animal anyway, this sense of restlessness. Most of the artists I loved and admired, the poets, the writers, the sensibility, they were most of the things that I admired and loved were in New York. And one of the problems for me and for other artists of my generation in Australia is that by the time we got to be about 40, we were reasonably well known. And people start to treat you as though you're an established artist. And in a sense that's corrosive and corrupting because people don't challenge you as much. One of the points about being an artist is that you keep growing. that you keep challenging yourself, you keep searching, you keep going deeper, and hopefully you keep getting braver.
David is up in Harlem today preparing for a private show at his daughter Jessica's home studio.
You know, once we actually got them all up, we can start switching them around anyway. That's a lot better.
That's great.
Art is the family trade.
So we're starting to look at that kind of configuration.
I think that was good.
Jessica's partner, Julie Meritu, is feted by the critics as one of America's most gifted young artists.
Jason, it looks like we're going to get most of this done today.
Her work hangs in the prestigious Museum of Modern Art.
That's already a better height, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good.
What about the art scene in New York these days? I mean, in the past, it has been such a vibrant scene, the New York School, de Kooning and Rothko and Pollock, people like that. Is it still a place where great artists gravitate to?
People always ask me, why New York? And I said, well, it's a bit like, you know, I lived in the outback in Australia, I grew up in places like Bourke. You know, if you live in Wagga and you're an opera singer, you want to sing in Milan. You know, it's great to sing in Sydney, it's great to sing in Melbourne, but you do want to sing in Milan. And it's the same for a painter.
Buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte. Come stai?
It was David's decision, inspired by the painters of the New York School he so admired, to move the family here. Lily was initially reluctant, but now New York has become an integral part of her journey as a writer and has brought her closer to her Jewish heritage. You're the daughter of two Auschwitz survivors. New York is a great Jewish city. How much of that have you immersed yourself in? Is that an important facet of the city and one of the facets that attracts you?
Well, it did when I first came here. When I first came to New York, I was 18 and I couldn't believe that I saw Yiddish words in public. I'd never heard or seen a Yiddish word outside our house. I couldn't believe it. There were Jewish cab drivers in those days too. You wouldn't find one anymore. I actually didn't know that I was very Jewish myself.
I was thinking about taking a drawing class at the Art Studio League. Think they're any good?
They're excellent, and they also do a very good watercolour drawing class.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Most people, when they think of New York, most outsiders, when they think of New York, rightly or wrongly, do not think of it as a city which is ideal to raise children in.
Well, I'd say no city is ideal for everything, but I think this is a pretty good place to raise children. You know, I'm not one of those people who needs a lawn. I think lawns are highly overrated. I think kids need a cafe from the time they're very young and need stimulation, need to know that it's a very big world and it's not all just like you.
Jewish son of a cobbler in East End of London. Yes. Immigrant, orphan child who was adopted by...
We all live here and we work here and we all love it. Washington Square was full of little fairies. One of the great things is to share a love of the city, really. I mean, my father's now here, so we have 4 generations of us.
Sweetheart, this meatloaf is totally delicious.
You know, I never thought I would have 4 generations of one family, having grown up with no relatives. So it's a pretty fabulous thing.